gentleman by the name of Bob Calhoun, who is the assistant superintendent for Kanawha County Schools, just in passing had mentioned to me, we'd really like to develop something for preschool. I happened to be working on a few other things with Joe Murphy, who's the CEO of Murphy Media, in relationship to opioid prevention and education. And had mentioned to him, hey, what do you think about creating something that could be applicable to the pre-K environment?
Get to the older ones, sometimes they've already got this mindset of, bad habits. Just they see what's around them, and you're unfortunately sometimes a product of your environment. And if we get to them early and they start learning good habits, the earlier the better.
Never imagined that within 4 or 5 weeks we would have a talking avatar that could interact with the children in real time, and we named him Rex the RX.
Have you been telling Mrs. Webb in her class all about, this?
Yeah.
What's up with this?
What's that?
Oh, that's pretty cool, huh? Don't you wish you had one? I bet Joshua wishes he had one. And what about Temperance? Hey, Temperance, do you have a hat?
Said you have a hat.
Blake.
He's not going to high-five you or give you a hug. He will interact with you, but the whole purpose of Rex is that we don't want the kids to keep Rex around.
Oh, guys. Bye.
This is the way, in my judgment, to reach them. They're used to being interactive, and they really don't respond to anything but that. So you've got to find a way to make that impression and make it last.
Hey guys, what do you think of my hat? You like it? Anybody here wear a hat?
I don't like it.
No?
The kids like Rex because he's also interactive, and he can communicate in the actual classroom, so you can say the kids' names, and that gets their attention immediately.
The response has just been amazing. The kids really relate to the avatar, so if they do have a prescription medication that they take, which a lot of kids do, we want them to use that medication properly, but we also want to ensure that they're not sharing medications. We know that we have an enormous amount of children living with grandparents, living in foster care. We know that grandparents, that age group, they're more likely to have multiple prescriptions where they probably shouldn't be, where they're much more accessible.
So it's a short program, but it's very effective, and Rex can talk to the kids, answer questions with the kids, and give them vital information.
Technology was used, it was very interactive, and the kids really seemed to enjoy it and learn a lot. I mean, medication's not something that we talk about a lot with kids at all because we don't know where to draw that line, but this made it very kid-friendly and interactive.
Do you know what that means?
He's expired.
Hey, hold up a second there, Susan.
And so the message of don't keep Rex around is a real poignant one and real important, and something that a 4 or 5-year-old can kind of wrap their arms around and understand.
So we were really making a difference. We were reaching more schools and more counties and more kids than we ever had before with the medication safety message that Rex shared. And then in March of 2020, just like the rest of the world, the Rex program really came to a halt. So we were all working together and trying to figure out ways to get the program back online in any way, shape, or form, and then kind of hit the pause button and realized that now the message was even more important because you had all of these children who were at home with parents and grandparents who more than likely were not storing medications properly, and that made medication a lot more accessible and the message so much more important. We went back to the roots of Rex, which is innovation, and we found a way to scale the program by bringing Rex into homes remotely. And what that did was it opened everything up to a very unintended audience of parents and grandparents and caretakers who started to engage with us and their children about the importance of medication safety. We continue to believe that the message of medication safety is important, and that's for any medication. It doesn't have to be an opioid. We know that medications can be very dangerous if not taken by the person that they're prescribed. We also know that most children who overdose on a medication accidentally ingest that medication because it was not stored properly. We know that most people who become addicted to a medication do so because they obtain that medication either knowingly or unknowingly from a friend or relative. It's something that we really thought would delay or derail the program, and our message about medication safety really turned out to be something positive in terms of being able to reach more people with the message, because in the end it's really important that no one keeps Rex around.
Research indicates that the majority of students misusing prescription stimulants as study aids earn lower grades. Here's the good news. 81% of college students do not misuse prescription medication as study aids. Staying current with class material, prioritizing tasks, and accessing tutoring and online tutorials are just some of the ways you can stay stimulant-free. And remember, never share your prescription medications. Visit generationrx.org.
Join the West Virginia Drug Intervention Institute for National Drug Take-Back Day. Dispose of your unused or expired medications by bringing them to us at 118 Capitol Street in Charleston, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on April 24th. Did you know that 9 out of 10 childhood poisonings occur in the home? We want to remind you to get rid of unused or expired medications in your home.
For nearly 70 years, Fruth Pharmacy has been dedicated to medication safety. We are partnering with the WVDII to help spread the message, don't keep Rex around.
Get rid of unused or expired medications in your home by visiting a Fruth Pharmacy location for your free medication disposal bag.
Hello and welcome to our live program this afternoon. I'm Dr. Susan Bissett, President of the West Virginia Drug Intervention Institute. We want to thank everybody out there for tuning in and listening today. Today we have a really special program planned. And so first I'd like to share a little bit about the West Virginia Drug Intervention Institute, our mission and our purpose. And then we'll talk about our partnership with Fruth Pharmacy and DisposeRx. We have a very special guest with us today as well, Dorn Sanders from DisposeRx, and we'll be talking about the importance of disposing of medication properly, as well as National Clean Out Your Medicine Cabinet Day, which is tomorrow, April 16th. So we have a lot of exciting discussion planned for the next 20 minutes or so. But first, I want to share with you a little bit about the mission and the purpose of the West Virginia Drug Intervention Institute. We are located in Charleston, West Virginia, in the state's capital, and our mission is to reduce overdose deaths in our state. And we do that through work and research and education and collaboration and advocacy and prevention. And so our work with proper medication disposal is one way to get medications out of homes so they don't get into the wrong hands. We know that a lot of persons started using intravenous drugs through a prescription medication, and about 65% of those individuals actually obtain that prescription from someone else, and that's usually a family member. So super important to be talking about medication disposal today. We're also participating in the DEA's National Drug Take-Back Day, which is Saturday, October 24th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And we'll be here on hand at 118 Capitol Street in downtown Charleston to take back any unused or unwanted prescription medications. And we're doing that in collaboration with the Charleston Police Department. So we're very grateful to the officers who are here with us on those days. During that day, we'll also be doing naloxone training. We have the goal of getting 1,000 units of naloxone out before June 30th, and so that's part of our goal in that day. So we're really excited. We've got lots of activities happening at the West Virginia Drug Intervention Institute. Prior to the live stream, there was a little bit of information about Rex the RX, which is our medication safety ambassador, and he goes around and talks to children and families about the importance of medication safety. More recently, we've partnered with Lynn Fruth and the gang at Fruth Pharmacy to really reach out to West Virginia families and share with them the importance of safe medication disposal. So from now until June 30th, anyone can go into any of the 28 Fruth Pharmacy locations throughout southern West Virginia, parts of Ohio, and Kentucky, and ask for a free medication disposal packet. And we'll be talking a little bit more about those, but we also have some information and resources for children, some placemats they can color, and some tips for parents about how to talk to young kids about medication safety. It's never too young to start. So we're really excited about that Fruth partnership. And we know that, Fruth has been committed to medication safety for over 70 years. And we're just really excited to be partnering with them. And so that's been a really exciting thing that's happened for us at the Institute. And so we'll be reaching out to West Virginia families in that way. We'll also be talking today about another partnership that we have in concert with Fruth, and that's our partnership with Dispose RX. And we'll be having a very special guest come on, Dorn Sanders, to talk a little bit more about Dispose RX, what it is, how easy it is to use, and why that medication safety is so important, but also the importance of National Clean Out Your Medicine Cabinet Day as well.
Did you know that 9 out of 10 childhood poisonings occur in the home? We want to remind you to get rid of unused or expired medications in your home.
For nearly 70 years, Fruth Pharmacy has been dedicated to medication safety. We are partnering with the WVDII to help spread the message, don't keep Rex around.
Get rid of unused or expired medications in your home by visiting a Fruth Pharmacy location for your free medication disposal bag.
So at this time, I'd like to welcome Dorn Sanders from Dispose RX. Carol, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Fantastic. Well, I have some questions for you today to share with our viewers about medication disposal and your company. But first, I'd just like you to tell everybody who's listening a little bit about Dispose RX.
Sure. So, Susan, our company was funded back in the mid 2015-16 range by one of our co-founders, John Holliday. And Dr. Holliday was a scientist. He was also a serial entrepreneur, and he had been studying the opioid epidemic since 1966 when he was commissioned at Walter Reed and in the Army. And so he was studying then soldiers who were coming back from Vietnam, and they were addicted to heroin. And this was a mission that never left him. And he wanted a solution that was as simple as the packet that his wife would put in flowers when he would bring them home to her from the grocery store. And so that's what he had in mind. And he and 4 other scientists worked for a number of years to develop this packet of material that is non-hazardous and is on the FDA list of medication. There are ingredients that are used in medications. They're not harmful to anyone if ingested. And so they developed this very simple packet that looks much like a lemonade packet that you would get at your grocery store. Hopefully you can see that. And basically when it is added to your prescription vial and added with water, it shakes, and it actually, and we'll do a little demonstration here for you in a few minutes, but it represents cross-linking polymers that sequester the active ingredient in the medication. And so when they launched the company in 2018, it was with Walmart, right? Which is a huge win for a company of this size, especially something that had just started and for an entrepreneurial company. And so now, fast forward to 2021, and we're in more than 33,000 chain pharmacies, as well as many independents. And we're so grateful to be working with you and Fruth Pharmacy. We know the great work that you all are doing in West Virginia, and we could not be more happy to be collaborating. I'll tell you a little personal story here. So I was recruited to DisposeRx a couple of years ago, and I grew up in a pharmacy. My stepfather was a pharmacist for 36 years in a small community in North Carolina, and I remember working back in the prescription counter with him and hearing over and over again. This was a long time ago in the late 70s and early 80s, where people would come in, our regular customers would come in and would ask about how they should dispose of their medications. And so fast forward, when I was recruited by DisposeRx, it was just a natural fit for me because I had grown up in a pharmacy counter, and I do now know how important medication disposal is, and keeping them out of the hands of those that they do not belong in.
And we both kind of have our roots in pharmacy in that way. So it's kind of cool because I formerly was an assistant dean at a pharmacy school before taking on this role. So lots of good information and opportunities that pharmacists have to share with patients. So that's a great point of contact. Can you talk to us and our viewers a little bit more about why safe medication disposal is so important?
Sure. So you talked a little bit about it earlier, right? We know that there are a number of unintended consequences from having unused medications in the home, and whether those are accidental ingestions that often happen with children, but often can also happen with the senior population, right? And we have seen that. There's diversion, people who come into your home that you may not expect to be going through your medicine cabinet. We know it happens. We also know with the teenage population, we're hearing more and more about how they are removing medications from their parents' homes or their grandparents' homes, and using them recreationally. And so there's obviously issues around those situations. So we like to talk about behavior change, right? That often proper storage and disposal have been afterthoughts for people. We often think about going to our provider, our physician, getting the prescription filled, but we don't think a lot about medications and how we're going to store them. I know you, with the senior population, with grandparents, a lot of times it's easier for them to have the colorful the pill packs, right? Where they go through and they go, for the 7 days of the week, and they count out their pills. But unfortunately, those pill packs, right, look very inviting for children. And so we see a lot of the accidental ingestions happen that way. And so the disposal piece is critical. And we like to say that while we think our product and our program make it very, very convenient for folks to dispose of their medications at home, we all have the same mission, whether or not it's Take Back Day or kiosks that many of our pharmacies offer, or mail back programs, right? All of them are successful. All of them have a role in the community. And so we like to say to folks, we'd like for you to maintain your medicine cabinet every day. But at the same time, we right now we're just thinking about behavior change, and our pharmacies are doing an amazing job of stepping up and encouraging that and having those counseling sessions with folks. We know the folks at Fruth are doing that right now as they are handing out DisposeRx packets, but it really takes a village, right? We want the physicians to start having those conversations with folks. And we talk a lot about opioids, right? A lot of our programs with our chain pharmacy customers are with opioids specifically, but our product and our program work with all medications except for chemotherapy drugs, right, which have a very specific manner of disposal, and also patches. It does not work with patches, but we want everyone to have that conversation and to think about whether it's blood pressure medicine that you might think have benign potential, right, that they're not harmful to your children, but blood pressure medicine, heart medication, it really doesn't matter what it is. If it gets in the wrong hands, it can be dangerous. So we encourage really maintaining your medicine cabinet regularly.
Those are fantastic points, especially as we consider that there are a lot of grandparents out there raising grandchildren, and we know that grandparents are more likely to have multiple prescriptions and less likely to store them properly. So I think that's a super important point that you made about grandparents in particular. And the National Poison Control Center tells us that 9 out of 10 childhood poisonings happen at home. And about 60% of those with kids under 5 are related to opioids. So really important to dispose of those medications when they're not being used any longer, they're expired. So I guess the next question really is, how does this work, Carol? How does the Dispose RX packet, how does that work?
So I think we're going to start with our little demonstration video that was created, right, as part of Clean Out Your Medicine Cabinet Day. As Susan mentioned, that is coming up tomorrow. We launched that day a couple of years ago to really remind folks. It's in connection with DEA Take Back Day in the spring. So it's the 3rd Friday of April. And it's really just a focal point to say, if you're not maintaining your medicine cabinet regularly, make sure that you do it on the 3rd Friday of April. And so I think we can cue up the video now that our new Senior Director of Product Marketing developed for this very campaign and this very day.
April 16th marks the 3rd annual National Clean Out Your Medicine Cabinet Day, brought to you by Dispose RX, the market leader in at-home medication disposal solutions. Most people are reminded a couple times a year to clean out their unused or expired medications, even their pet medications. On April 16th, we hope you will begin the practice of maintaining your medicine cabinet every day to limit the risk of medications getting into the wrong hands. Using Dispose RX is quick and easy. Simply gather your unused and expired medication. Remove the cap and fill 2/3 of the way up with warm tap water. Add the Dispose RX powder. Securely tighten the cap and shake for around 30 seconds. The result is a gel rendering the medication unretrievable. Now you can safely dispose of in your household trash. Do your part to help protect your family members and friends. Start today and make it every day. Dispose RX, safe, convenient, effective. Learn more at disposerx.com.
So Carol, I have to ask, how easy is this? Can you demonstrate how to use the medication disposal packet for us?
Sure, Susan. So I think we're the demonstration that was done, right? We're trying to the animated, and we'll show you in person just how easy this is. So the key is that the fact that we use the same prescription vial, right? That your medicine comes in, and hopefully it has the childproof cap on it. You want to make sure that there are about no more than 1/3 of the pills, right, in the vial. So that you can get enough water to make the process happen. So I'm going to pour up to about 2/3 of the vial. I'm going to pour in the water until about 2/3 full. And then I'm going to take the packet, right? I'm going to pour it in. Hopefully you can see this, how easy this is. And then I'm going to add the cap back. And then I'm just going to shake it for about 30 seconds. And as you're doing it, you're automatically going to start feeling the consistency change in the vial. And so after you shake it for about 30 seconds, then you're going to see this type of gel, right? That the viscous gel that we talk about, that those of us who are old enough to know what rubber cement is, I know that younger populations probably don't know rubber cement glue, but that's the consistency that I like to think of it as, right? And so even if there are a couple of pieces of pills, we get this question a lot, that sometimes you'll see pieces of your pill or your capsule or your tablet in here. The active ingredient is actually being sequestered. And so even if, God forbid, if someone tried to scoop this out, if someone who had a substance use disorder issue and started to scoop this out and tried to ingest it to get the same high that they might from their regular, like an opioid or some sort of narcotic, that is not going to happen in this case. And that process happens almost immediately. It's within 30 seconds to a minute that process, that sequestration process happens. And then what we want you to do is to take that vial and throw it in the trash. And so what happens is that it will continue to break down. The medicine will continue to break down. But the blessing is, the best part about this, other than the fact that you're disposing of your medications, is that it's preventing the medication from leaching into the waterway and damaging the environment. So that is a critical piece. So for our pharmacy customers who are dispensing of DisposeRx at the pharmacy counter, those are two critical things for them, right? They want to talk about the importance of disposal and making sure that you're keeping your family as safe as can be and yourself. But they also are making sure, they want to make sure that the environment is protected as well.
Yeah, those are such great points. And of course, here at the West Virginia Drug Intervention Institute, we have to play with everything. So that's exactly what it reminded me of when I did this at my desk the other day, is rubber cement. That's exactly what it reminded me of. So I think that's a great analogy. Can you tell us how we can go about getting these packets so that we can use them at home and get rid of those unused or expired medications?
Sure, Susan. Well, thanks to the collaboration with you at West Virginia Drug Intervention Institute and FRUTH, through June 30th, you can go to the West Virginia Drug Intervention Institute, and we encourage you to do it for Take Back Day and ask for a packet there. Or you can also go to a FRUTH pharmacy in the 28 locations around the West Virginia and Ohio marketplace and ask for a packet, and they will provide one to you. The good thing about the packet, I know we just went through the demonstration, there are instructions on the packet, should you forget that. You can also go to the DisposeRx website and learn more. We have our frequently asked questions on the website, and we would encourage you to visit there to learn more. And I'd also like to say, Susan, that we are so proud not only of our pharmacy and health plan and health system clients that we work with that dispense of our product and actually have embraced our program of education for their pharmacists and also for their other staff members, as well as patients. But our community outreach program is critical for us, just like we're working with you all and where we have donated product for you. We have more than 350 community outreach partners in all 50 states, and we are so proud of that. Dr. Holliday, that was his mission, right? To eradicate the misuse of unused medications. And when he founded, when he devised this patented product, that was what was important to him, and making sure that we had community partners that we were working with to help make this happen. So those 350 nonprofits that we work with are everything from law enforcement agencies to folks that are coalitions that are working on prevention or recovery. We have church groups that we work with. The list is long. Pharmacy schools, those are some of our most popular community outreach partners, where the pharmacy students and residents are out in their communities, making sure that folks are storing their medications appropriately and are properly and promptly disposing of their medications. So for any other community outreach partners that might be in your area, I would encourage you to reach out to us. There's a form you can complete on our website, and we would love to partner with others in the West Virginia marketplace.
So very thrilled to be a partner with you and get this very important message and product out there to families and households in West Virginia. Carol Dorn Sanders, we want to thank you so much for being here with us today as our special guest. And thank you to all of the folks at DisposeRx for all the wonderful work that you're doing. Just thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you so much for collaborating with us.
The West Virginia Drug Intervention Institute. We've talked a little bit about what we do and our mission, as well as our partnership with Fruth and now also with DisposeRx. Really important days coming up. Again, tomorrow is Clean Out Your Medicine Cabinet Day. So it's a great time to take that inventory, see what's unused or expired, stop by a Fruth pharmacy or visit our website and request a medication disposal packet so that you can get those out of your house. We talk a lot about getting drugs off the street. We don't often think about getting drugs out of our homes. Super, super important message today. We want to also encourage you to follow the West Virginia Drug Intervention Institute on Facebook and Twitter, and we're also on Instagram. Share with us any of your successes with medication disposal and medication safety in the home. We want to remind everyone to start today, but make it every day. As we like to say at the West Virginia Drug Intervention Institute, don't keep Rex around. You got to use that medication for what it's needed for, and then when you're finished, make sure it's disposed of properly. So we thank everyone for joining us. We'll be live again in a couple of weeks, and we'll be talking a little bit more about this important work that we're doing with DisposeRx.